Hey guys, welcome back to DCS World. I'm Spudknocker, as always, and today we've got another pre-release MiG-19P Farmer-B video. RAZBAM has asked me to show off the ordnance that the MiG-19 can carry, as well as take you through the steps in order to employ them. So, as you guys already know, the MiG-19 is a second-generation aircraft, mainly designed to defend the large borders of the Soviet Union from Western large strategic bombers. As a result of its early design period, as well as its main mission focus, it doesn't have a very wide variety of ordnance that it can carry. It namely consists of general-purpose bombs, rocket packs, and R3S missiles. So, for a little demonstration, we'll go ahead and open up the armament page to load her up. Then we will go ahead and take a look at employing air-to-air missiles against some target drones over the Caucasus here. And then after that, we'll go ahead and jump in and go over how to employ air-to-ground weapons with this very nimble and very simple jet. So, as you can see, we have the MiG-19 in her more natural environment, the Caucasus, in a bit of a sleet storm on a partly cloudy day. Hopefully these clouds will pass and this storm will end, and we'll be able to get out of here and get some better weather for our range time. As we can see, we've got 6 hardpoints to mount weapons on. The outer 2 most hardpoints, 1 and 6, are very much limited to air-to-air missiles, the R3S or AA-2 Atoll missile, depending on where you're from, what you call it. The second and 5th station, the second to most outer, are the most versatile stations. You can load rocket pack, fuel tanks, and bombs. Now, I suspect a lot of multiplayer pilots are definitely going to want to load up some fuel tanks on this jet, as its legs are very tiny, even shorter than the AV-8B Harrier's legs. The 4th and 3rd hardpoints are very much limited to rocket packs. And as you guys know from the previous video that I did on the MiG-19, the rocket packs on this jet are not very useful, unfortunately. The rocket itself flies at a very low velocity, necessitating the pilot to launch them at a very close range to the target in order to get any semblance of accuracy, and the warhead of the rockets is very small, limiting it to the lightest of armored targets and infantry in the open or aircraft on a ramp. So, without further ado, we'll go ahead and hop on over to the air-to-air section of this video and get started. Alrighty guys, so headquarters has told us to skip our normal range time due to a Turkish reconnaissance flight being identified entering Georgian airspace. GCI believes it's probably an RF-5 escorted by a wingman who should be a combat-coded F-5E, and we've been directed to intercept and shoot down this threat due to there being some sensitive Soviet installations here in the Georgian alluvial plain. So let's go ahead and get her set up for combat. First thing we'll do is we'll make sure we've got power to our weapons. Then we'll come over and arm up our cannons. Wait for that indication light telling us that our cannons are in fact armed down there below the stick. Just takes a few seconds. And we'll go ahead and tune our weapon select to our R3S or AA-2 Atoll missile. We'll go ahead and turn on our radar. So I believe I have a visual on them, just where GCI told us they'd be. Do keep in mind in the MiG-19 that the radar really is not going to be your primary sensor like it would be in a modern jet like the F-18 that you're used to flying. You're not going to be able to use it to find opponents and then close and engage with them. You're really going to be relying on GCI for the most part. So we can see those two F-5s tracking left. So we'll go after the RF-5, the leader, with our R3S missiles, and then we'll take out the escort with some of our NR-30 cannon. Now there is no volume knob for the growl of the R3S in the cockpit, but it can be set by our crew chief on the ground. So if you want to adjust that volume, you need to go into the special options of the MiG-19 and adjust it from there. So we're going to come in behind them on their 6. They either don't see us or they don't realize they've strayed into Georgian airspace. Hopefully we can keep it that way. Close in on these guys a bit. Because the R3S is a first generation air-to-air missile, I do recommend ripple firing them. Alrighty, so Fox 2. We'll hit the brakes, select our NR-30s, and come in on the wingman here. Looks like we did splash that leader in the RF-5. And there's splash 2. Hit them before they really even knew anything was happening. And as you can see there, unlike the first video that I made, I did not uncage the gun sight. I think it's actually much more accurate and much more easy to use if it is just a static gun sight. The gyro tends to be a little bit too sensitive, in my opinion, in the MiG-19, so just a quick tip on that. Some people may be totally opposite on that. You'll have to check it out when you fly the jet for yourself. So let's go ahead and head on back to home plate. We will land, rearm with some air-to-ground ordnance, and then hopefully we can still make our range time for today. Alrighty, so we were able to quickly land after taking out that reconnaissance flight, and we're still able to make our range vol time. So we'll go ahead and get the jet ready for combat. We'll bring power back to our cannons and rockets, and we'll go ahead and make sure those cannons are armed. There's one status light. And there's the other for our right-hand cannon. Next thing we're going to need to do is we're going to have to arm the fuse for our two FAB-250 general purpose bombs. And that switch is right next to the cannon arming status lights right here. So now I've got the bombs armed and ready to go. So since those are the heaviest, we'll go ahead and get rid of those first. All we need to do is just bring our weapon select switch over to bombs. And we have two options for release. We have automatic, which will release one bomb at a time, and we have manual, which will release both bombs at the same time. So why don't we go ahead and throw her into manual, and we'll get both bombs to come off at the same time. Our range should be out here by this lake, and it looks like we got a nice smoke marker out there with a little ring of trucks for us to fire upon. So I'm still a pretty low hour MiG-19 pilot, so we'll see how well this bombing run goes. Flying through a little bit of weather. Looks like the weather has definitely moved back in again. So hopefully we can get rid of our weapons and head back home before the weather really starts to turn sour. So we'll come in here and roll in on our target area. And we'll try and drop on that center truck, right in the center of that ring that we can see there. And bombs away. Oh, pretty close. Not a total whiff. At least it was somewhere in that ring of trucks. But still not good enough. Alrighty, so now that we've gotten rid of our bombs, we'll go ahead and switch it on over to our rocket pods. And we'll come around for another pass on the target range. Don't really want to come for a crosswind attack, so we'll go ahead and straighten her on out. Fly downwind a little bit. We'll go ahead and make a lazy base leg turn as we come in back into the range pattern. And we'll go ahead and roll on in for our rocket attack. Not too bad. As you can see, the explosions from those rockets are quite small, and thus these rockets are really only going to be effective against the lightest of targets. Infantry in the open, trucks with potential for secondaries, ammunition trucks, fuel trucks, or aircraft on a ramp. So we'll go ahead and fly out over these mountains, and we'll come in on a reciprocal heading for a few strafing runs. Come back to our NR-30s, check that our cannons are armed, which they are. Perfect. And we'll come back in around for a strafing pass. Flying through another snow squall here. We'll go ahead and go after this line of trucks right here. They're lined up nice and well for us. All right, so definitely in a good lineup. And there's a good whiff on 2 trucks, but we got the third one in the line. So why don't we go ahead and go for another run. Hopefully I can redeem myself a little bit there. And we can see we really only got 1 hit with our NR-30 round on that truck, and she is a goner. You'll also notice that if you just fire this weapon out into the open, after a certain distance, the shell will explode, and it looks like you're firing a flat cannon from your MiG, which is quite interesting. So I would say that, for the most part, if you're going to be doing ground attack missions in the MiG-19, I would say rely on your cannon. Your cannon is probably the hardest hitting and most accurate weapon in your air-to-ground arsenal. Being a second-generation fighter, just like the F-100, the cannon really was designed as the primary weapon, with other weapons being kind of auxiliary to that primary weapon. And like I said in the air-to-air portion, even the radar is kind of a secondary kind of sensor. Your Mk.1 Eyeball is definitely going to be your primary sensor, along with GCI on the ground. Oh, looks like we're out of ammunition. We got a couple of those trucks. The wind from the storm moving in was definitely buffeting me around a bit, so we didn't get the most accurate strafing runs ever, but it's still good to get in some practice. And like I said before, I am still a very low-hour MiG pilot. So, if you liked the video, please give us a like and a subscribe. It'd be much appreciated. And I know RAZBAM appreciates your view as well, as they look forward to releasing the MiG-19 to the public. So, fly safe, guys, and enjoy this really awesome product, DCS World. Thanks a lot, guys.